Receipts in just a moment. First, though, Paula Reed is out front with all the late developments in this case.
Tonight, the federal investigation into Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz for possible prostitution and sex trafficking crimes, including an alleged relationship with a minor, now centering around his friendship with this man, Joel Greenberg.
It really is an honor to be here today.
In addition, investigators believe Greenberg, a former Seminole County, Florida tax collector, recruited multiple women online for sex, and that he introduced the women who received cash payments to Gaetz, who had sex with them too, according to the New York Times. The Times said it reviewed Apple Pay and Cash App receipts that show Gaetz and Greenberg made payments to one of the women and one payment from Greenberg to a different woman. In a statement, Gaetz' office said Matt Gaetz has never paid for sex. Matt Gaetz refutes all the disgusting allegations completely.
Providing for flights and hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime.
But a source telling CNN investigators are examining whether any federal campaign money was involved in paying for travel and expenses for the women. Gaetz and Greenberg have been friends for years, posting photos together, and Gaetz even telling a local radio station that Greenberg would make a good member of Congress in 2017.
If Joel were to run from Seminole County, I think he becomes the next congressman from the 7th District.
The duo, according to a Florida lawmaker, leaving an unsolicited voicemail on her cell phone. She gave a recording of the message to CNN.
This is your favorite tax collector. I'm up in the Panhandle with your favorite U.S. Congressman, Mr. Gaetz.
Hi, Anna.
And we were just chatting about you and talking about your lovely qualities. And
we think you're the future of the Democratic Party in Florida.
Additionally, information that may connect Gaetz to a fake ID scheme at the center of Greenberg's case was presented to federal investigators at a meeting last year. Sources familiar tell CNN. Greenberg had entered a plea of not guilty. Attorneys for Greenberg and Gaetz had no comment. In addition to the federal investigation, multiple sources told CNN Gaetz showed lawmakers photos and videos of nude women he claimed to have slept with. One source saying Gaetz shared the images on his phone while on the floor of the house.
Tonight, Gaetz finds himself with few public allies. His communications director resigned earlier today, and even though Gaetz was one of the most vocal Trump supporters, so far the former president has remained silent amid this escalating set of scandals that could end Gaetz' political career. Erin?
At the least, if it's true. Thank you very much, Paula. So let's go to Katie Benner, Justice Department reporter for the New York Times, who broke the story about the payments, and Dave Ehrenberg, state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, who knows Gaetz from his time serving as a state senator in Florida while Gaetz was a state representative. So I'm really glad to have both of you back with me. Katie, let me start with you because you've been breaking so much of this, and you actually reviewed text messages and payment receipts in this case. The women told their friends that these payments were indeed for sex, that it was a very clear transaction. What more did you learn about these encounters?
Well, one of the interesting things about the messages that we reviewed is that the messages are very clear. They say, meet me here at this time. I can give you $1,000. Now, the men might argue that the money in those messages would be for something else. But again, keep in mind, it's the women who are saying that they were paid for sex. So the messages could not be clearer, at least that people were meeting, that they were meeting in a hotel, and that money was going to change hands. We also heard a lot about the drug use that happened in these, in these encounters with both Congressman Gaetz and with Joel Greenberg. Now, keep in mind, of course, I would reiterate that Congressman Gaetz has these things did not happen. He vociferously denies any of the unsavory characterizations of any of these meetings. But what the women are saying is that there were a lot of drugs used. And these are the sorts of elements that I think that prosecutors are going to look at to decide where the line is drawn between dates and payment for sex.
So, Dave, you hear Katie's reporting, right? I'll pay you $1,000, meet me here, to multiple women at different times, different hotels and locations. And then she just mentioned the drugs. And in Katie's reporting is that Gaetz and others would take ecstasy as an example before having sex. How important could this be to the case, this drug use?
Good evening, Erin. I think where it's important is that it is something of value that is provided in exchange for the sex. So that gets you to sex trafficking. You have to show whether it's cash or drugs or hotel rooms or flights or expenses. I don't think it goes any further than that, because I know some people say, well, it shows a level of coercion. But when it comes to child sex trafficking, you don't need force, fraud, or coercion like you do for adult sex trafficking. When it comes to minors, they've got a lot more protection, and the law is a lot broader. Now, I think also where it matters is to prove that Matt Gaetz had sex with the underage girl. That's the key to this case. You either need the girl to testify, you need to have documents like the one that Katie was referencing that show a pattern of payments about the same time that hotel rooms were booked, or you need Joel Greenberg to turn state's evidence. And now that he's sitting in a jail cell waiting for his own sex trafficking trial involving the same 17-year-old girl, he may want to play let's make a deal with federal prosecutors.
Well, it's hard to imagine why why at this point he would cover. As you pointed out, just to be clear, Dave, I mean, the prison sentence for these things, if convicted, is many years, right? Many years. So there'd be an incredible incentive to turn in your buddy if that would reduce that, right?
Absolutely. For Joel Greenberg, he's facing decades in prison. Matt Gaetz, if he is charged with child sex trafficking, he will be facing up to life in prison. And there's another element here. There's a conspiracy that could be charged, depending on the facts, because Greenberg was charged with more than just sex trafficking. He was charged with identity theft, wire fraud, and all these other things. Matt Gaetz could be charged with a lot of those same things if it's shown that they engaged in a conspiracy. Then Gaetz would be just as guilty as Joel Greenberg for the crimes that Joel Greenberg has allegedly committed. So for Gaetz, there's no good outcome here. And even if he survives it in a criminal justice system, it's still terrible for his political career. I don't see how he survives politically. He would be lucky just to avoid a lengthy prison sentence here.
It's pretty incredible to think about this. So, Katie, I want to play again some of that audio message that Gaetz and Greenberg together, because I think this just makes the point, A, that they're together doing all these things. Well, they're together. They leave this voicemail together for Florida State Representative Anna Eskamani. Let me play it again.
My dear Anna, this is your favorite tax collector. I'm up in the Panhandle with your favorite U.S. Congressman, Mr. Gaetz.
Hi, Anna.
And we were just chatting about you and talking about your lovely qualities. And
we think you're the future of the Democratic Party in Florida.
So, Katie, obviously, you hear them together, sort of on that call. Tell me what that kind of the point that makes here. They do sound like buddies.
Sure. I mean, we know that they were really close friends. We know that they were tight, and they were part of this circle of Florida Republicans, a group of which Matt Gaetz was probably pretty high up at the top in the upper echelons. His friend, the Seminole County tax collector, probably not as powerful, not as influential, and not as well known. So you kind of have a relationship where Matt Gaetz feels like the ringleader and where Greenberg kind of feels like a member of his entourage. They are very, very tight. And as prosecutors are examining, it looks like they were close enough friends that they were sharing women together as well. One of the other interesting things that prosecutors are looking at is whether or not other members of their circle were also involved. One of the allegations is that not only did Gaetz, not only did Greenberg have sex with these women, but other people have too. In fact, in our reporting, we found there was a woman who claims to her friends to have had sex with Greenberg, with Gaetz, and with somebody who she was asked to have sex with, and she agreed to. And so that also sort of starts to widen the circle. Who else was friends with these gentlemen who would want to have this kind of friendship with them?
Well, exactly, and it also points out, right? You pay someone if that's what happened, and then she has sex with you and your friend, and it makes the whole thing more damning, I know, legally, and also more sordid, of course. Dave, Eskamani, who was the person for whom they left that message, she said the call was, quote, so weird. She told us that she did not return the phone call from Gaetz and Greenberg. You sort of know the players here. What do you think was going on with this call?
I think they were trolling her. Anna Eskamani is a very young, I think she's 30 years old right now, state representative, the first ever Iranian-American state representative in Florida's history. And she's very progressive. She comes from the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party. And so you have two Republicans in a reddish state trolling her by calling her to tell her that she's the future of the Democratic Party in our state. Well, you don't want to underestimate Anna Eskamani because she got elected in a district that used to be held by a Republican, and she wins by significant margins. She has a large grassroots operation already in our state, and I think